Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. At this time, a dragon-robed figure appeared in the hall, emitting a terrifying aura of transcending the tribulation realm. Father, you have made a breakthrough. The prince said happily. With a true void immortal level powerhouse sitting in charge, Dazhou's position in Songzhou will be even more solid. Coupled with this overwhelming blessing of national luck, looking at the tribulation realm, how many are his father's opponents? Unexpectedly, Emperor Zhou looked at the silver-haired young man sitting on the throne. Without any hesitation, he bowed to the ground and bowed loudly. On behalf of the people of the great Zhou dynasty, I would like to thank Yi Xuxian for playing the divine music and blessing the common people. The prince was dumbfounded. The majestic king of a country, a powerful man who can overcome calamities, lowers his posture to such an extent? So how strong should Xuantianzong be? Get up, it's your ability to break through the tribulation. Yi Junlin waved his hand. Emperor Zhou stood up and said in awe, Yi Xuxian is joking. Because of the divine music you played, the national destiny of the great Zhou dynasty has reached an unprecedented peak. I also took this opportunity to make a breakthrough by chance. Before, his realm was the Mahayana perfection, and he was a bit wary of Yi Junlin, but that was all. He felt that no matter how strong the opponent was, he could still suppress him with the help of the national destiny. After all, this is Dazhou, his home ground, not a remote deserted state. But now, after understanding the piano music containing the sound of the great Tao, Zhou Huang, who had a breakthrough in his cultivation, suddenly had a bright vision and finally saw the horror of the master of the Piaomiao Peak of Xiantian sect. It turned out that what he saw before was just the tip of the iceberg. The gap between his strength and others can never be made up by the blessing of national destiny. Realizing this, Zhou Huang hurriedly came out to express his attitude, throwing all the face of the monarch behind his mind, and directly put his posture to the lowest. First hug the thigh and talk. Yi Junlin thought, it seems that you are really grateful to me. Yes, as long as Yi Xuxian speaks, my Dazhou will definitely cooperate with everything within our power. Zhou Huang said in a deep voice. Okay, then take me to visit the ancestral mausoleum. Okay, please come this way, I'll lead the way for you. The ancestral mausoleum. It is the most heavily guarded place in the entire palace, and it is also the burial place of the rulers of the great Zhou dynasty. The Emperor Zhou waved his hand, removed various restrictions, and then led Yi Junlin and others into the ancestral mausoleum. The interior of the ancestral mausoleum is very large, and there is an ancient atmosphere coming towards you. In fact, except for the burial objects in the ancestral mausoleum that can interest tomb robbers, other places are mediocre. Even I can't figure out why it was targeted by that kind of existence, and even encouraged the ghost tribe to attack the great Zhou just to occupy this place. The Emperor Zhou said helplessly. These days, there are so many strange things. Li Wujie said. Until the few people walked to the end of the passage. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, and indeed did not find anything unusual. Forget it, just go back the same way. Just as Yi Junlin shook his head and prepared to leave this boring place, Hong Qianya behind him narrowed his eyes slightly, pinched his fingers with one hand, and tentatively cast a spell forward. Rumble. The sound of a millstone rolling came from the void. Gradually, an ancient and vast stargate appeared, exuding a mysterious atmosphere. Huh? This is... Emperor Zhou widened his eyes, not expecting this situation at all. Why would there be such a thing in the Zhou ancestral mausoleum? As Emperor Zhou, he had no idea. Yi Junlin turned his head to look at Hong Qianye, who triggered this scene, and found that the other party's face was also very surprised. Wow! This door is so beautiful. Bai Xiaoxi's eyes sparkled, and she looked around the stargate curiously. When she stretched out her tender little hand to touch it, she found that it passed through, as if what she saw was just an illusion, and this stargate did not exist at all. But Yi Junlin knew that this stargate definitely existed, but it had not yet materialized in the real world. If you want to activate it completely, you may have to pay a certain price. Emperor Zhou, how long has this dynasty existed so far? Yi Junlin asked. Emperor Zhou looked a little proud, reporting to Yi Xuxian, "My great Zhou has existed for 1.2 million years. A cultivation force, no matter what form it exists in, as long as it can last for millions of years, is qualified to be called an immortal sect, because this means that there is a great chariot town in every generation, and the great chariot must be continuous from generation to generation. Once the great chariot is lost, it is possible to be removed from the immortal sect." And Emperor Zhou, as a powerful person in the realm of tribulation, is also the only virtual immortal level king among the current immortal dynasties in Songzhou. Before the Great Zhou, were there any countries? Yi Junlin continued to ask. Emperor Zhou was stunned and said truthfully, "According to the existing historical records, there are at least dozens of them, and some of them are even impossible to investigate. In the endless years of billions of years, an immortal dynasty like the Great Zhou, which lasted for millions of years, is actually just a drop in the ocean." Yi Junlin frowned. So, this Stargate can be traced back to a more distant period. Perhaps there were records about this Stargate before, but after experiencing various turmoil, it has long been buried in the dust of history. And the ancestral tomb was built at this location by coincidence. Even the successive rulers of the Great Zhou dynasty were unaware of it. They just simply thought that the feng shui of this place was better. Looking at the eldest disciple with a changing face, Yi Junlin said meaningfully, "Xiao Hong, tell me, do you know anything?" Swish, swish, swish. All eyes were focused on Hong Qianye. Hong Qianye hesitated for a while, then said, "As for the origin of this Stargate, the disciples only heard it from hearsay, and there is no real evidence." "It's okay, but it doesn't matter." Yi Junlin waved his hand. According to rumors, in the distant ancient times, there were many teleportation nodes all over the Kunlun realm, which could directly reach the world. Countless Kunlun monks could travel through the universe with ease. I don't know what happened later. These teleportation nodes were used by the sages. The seal has never been opened again. Hear the words. Everyone was shocked and looked at the illusory Stargate. This thing actually has such a function? There are legends that the Kunlun realm is a huge cultivation planet. There are many planets like this, all over the boundless universe. In the past, monks could travel back and forth freely. As long as they are God-transforming monks, they can fly out of the Kunlun realm and travel around the void of the universe. But I don't know when, an invisible force restricted the Kunlun monks, making them unable to fly to the universe, and they could only live in this world until they died. The only way to solve it is to overcome the tribulation and become a true immortal, and then ascend to the immortal world naturally. Only through the immortal world can you be qualified to go to the universe. However, how easy is it to overcome a calamity and become an immortal? So for 99% of the monks, they can only stay in the Kunlun world for the rest of their lives. And now this Stargate can ignore this restriction and easily reach all parts of the universe. If this spreads out, it will definitely cause an uproar. The prince said excitedly, "Father, with this, I, the Great Zhou dynasty, can expand our territory. This is a rare opportunity." In his imagination, the universe must contain many precious cultivation resources. If Dezhou can take the lead in starting overseas expansion, then the national power will definitely increase rapidly and create countless strong men. That's right, Emperor Zhou was also moved. This was a huge temptation that any ruler could not resist. "Idiot. You are thinking shit." Yi Junlin sneered. Hearing this, the father and son looked embarrassed and muttered, "Yi Xuxian, what do you mean? Are you so sure that Dezhou has the ability to start interstellar expansion, instead of being invaded by alien races from outside the territory? If it is really conducive to the development of the Kunlun realm, why are these stargates sealed by the sages? For example, why did that mysterious man go to such trouble to send ghosts to occupy this place? Use your brains." Yi Junlin's series of scoldings were like ice water that extinguished the ambitions of the father and son. Thinking of the recent turmoil, they suddenly thought about it and became frightened. So far, many monks in Kunlun realm always think that this world is a prison, and they will never be able to see the outside scenery in this life. But now it seems that this may be a disguised form of protection. Besides, do you know how to open it? Yi Junlin said contemptuously. The father and son shook their heads again, feeling their cheeks burning and feeling ashamed. Yes. He doesn't even know how to open the Star Gate, and he still fantasizes about expanding his territory to other countries. It's almost laughable. Okay, keep working hard. It is estimated that as long as this Star Gate is here, the good days of this great week are still to come. Yi Junlin turned around and left the ancestral mausoleum. I originally wanted to find out, but now that my curiosity is satisfied, I am naturally too lazy to wait any longer. Hey, we can only take strict precautions. Emperor Zhou looked bitter, realizing that the future of Dezhou would be very bumpy. Fortunately, he is currently in the tribulation realm. With the blessing of the huge national luck, even if the ghost army attacks again, he will definitely be able to defeat it. After all, the current Zhou dynasty is at the peak of its national power as never before. Emperor Zhou is still very confident about this. Master, if you really follow what you said, those dark creatures in the abyss really deserve to die. They are actually willing to betray the Kunlun world and become the pawns of alien races outside the territory. Li Wujia said behind him, his eyes filled with awe-inspiring murderous intent. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered. What interests me most now is what happened in Kunlun realm. I'm afraid the answer must be found in the immortal realm. After all, only those who ascend to the fairy world are qualified to travel across the universe. From this point of view, it is definitely related to the big boss of the fairy world. Fairy world. Li Wujia was in awe. It was a place that countless monks dreamed of. It is said that the spiritual energy in the fairy world is so rich that it is beyond imagination. Even if you throw the smelly stones from the latrine into it, you will be able to open up your spiritual wisdom and embark on the path of spiritual practice over time. The fairy world is also about the weak and the strong, and it will only be more cruel than the lower world. Hong Qianya's eyes flashed and he sneered secretly. When he overcame the tribulation and became an immortal, he did not choose to ascend to the immortal realm immediately. Instead, he continued to stay in the central realm and hone his body because he heard that the immortal realm was very hierarchical and would even lead to loss of freedom. Who can survive a calamity and become an immortal these days, who is not an extremely talented monster? To control the wind and rain in the Kunlun world and enjoy the worship of countless monks? As a result, after finally ascending to the fairy world, they can only climb up from the bottom. How many people can tolerate this sense of gap? There is a saying that it is better to be a chicken head than a phoenix tail. If you have a background in the fairy world, it's okay, and there will be seniors to guide you, but if you don't, the situation will be even more difficult. And Hong Qianya started from scratch and became a true immortal level boss purely by working hard on his own. Because he has provoked too many hostile forces in the central territory, if Hong Qianya ascends to the immortal realm, he may be hunted to death by the people above. If you stay in the middle region, you can at least save your life. After all, the immortals above the immortal world cannot come down casually, so the true immortals have the ceiling of combat power in the lower world. It's a pity that the cultivation environment in the lower realm is so poor that it is difficult to support a true immortal's breakthrough in cultivation. It can only be said that there are advantages and disadvantages. It is for this reason that most of the monks who have successfully overcome the calamity and become immortals will choose to stay in the lower realm, unless their lifespan is running out and they are forced to ascend to the immortal realm. Then, everyone drove Kuanpeng and left Dazhou. Facing the bright sunshine, Yi Junlin put his hands behind his head and relaxed on the recliner, thinking about all the things he encountered in Dazhou, and the thoughts in his mind were spinning. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the abyss creatures suddenly launched a war against the outside world, which was promoted by someone behind the scenes. Their purpose was to occupy the Stargate, cooperate internally and externally, and allow foreign races from outside the territory to invade the eastern region. In the other 4 major domains, sooner or later we will also face this situation. A crisis targeting the Kunlun world is coming quietly. To this, Yi Junlin felt nothing in his heart. Because he is a person who has traveled through time and has a cheating system. If something threatens him, his relatives and friends, he can destroy it with just a few clicks. The principle that Junlin adheres to is that when you should lie down, you should lie down, and when you should show off, you should show off. Don't have an unnecessary sense of urgency and don't put pressure on yourself. In life, you have to do whatever you want. By the way, I almost forgot about this. Junlin thought of something and took out a bag of feed from the system backpack. After opening it, a rich milky aroma filled the air. Yes, this is the best pet animal feed. It smells so good. Bai Xiaoxi's nose twitched slightly. When she saw the feed bag in Junlin's hand, her eyes were bright and she hurriedly ran over. Master, can Shushu have a taste? Seeing Bai Xiaoxi's drooling look, Junlin couldn't help but smile. This is for the pet beasts. Pet beast. Bai Xiaoxi tilted her head, but rats are beasts. Hear the words. Staring at the furry rat head in front of him, Junlin burst into laughter. I almost forgot that his apprentice was actually a white mouse. He originally took it in with the intention of keeping it as a pet, which completely fit the category of pet animal. Okay, this bag is for you to eat as a snack. Junlin said. Okay. Thank you, master. Bai Xiaoxi took the feed with both hands, raised it above her head like a child, and shouted happily. Hong Qianye, who was sitting cross-legged in the distance, said with disdain in his heart, this stupid mouse doesn't practice all day long. He just thinks about eating, and he has a bad behavior like that surnamed Yi. Hong Qianye could tell that Bai Xiaoxi seemed to have a very strong physique, but since he joined the master's sect, he had been doing nothing serious and was willing to become Junlin's #1 follower. So far, we are still at the early stage of becoming a god. In his opinion, this waste of talent is a waste of life. Bai Xiaoxi stretched out her hand and grabbed a large handful of feed. Each feed was like a jujube and exuded a white luster. Then, he started to throw it into his mouth and began to eat it, his eyes narrowed in enjoyment. Delicious. Bai Xiaoxi ate with gusto. The more she ate, the more addicted she became and couldn't stop. Soon, its body revealed a bright luster, and every pore on its body spurted out pure essence. The next second, the energy in his body suddenly erupted, and Bai Xiaoxi's cultivation level soared rapidly. The middle stage, late stage, peak, and perfection of becoming a god. Breakthrough. Fusion state. This is not over yet. As Bai Xiaoxi eats more, his cultivation level continues to rise. After eating the whole bag, its realm will directly break through the Mahayana. This. Hong Qianye was stunned with fright, and his inherent cognition was shattered by the impact of this scene. He suddenly found that he could not understand the world at all. It's simply outrageous. The snacks given by Master are delicious. At this time, Bai Xiaoxi was still immersed in the delicious taste of the feed. It was not until she came back to her senses that she realized that her state had changed. It really is the kind that rises without even realizing it. Hey, why did Shushu break through? Bai Xiaoxi opened her eyes wide, her cute mouse face a little confused. Junlin was very surprised. He didn't expect that a bag of top-quality pet animal feed would have such an exaggerated effect. From the early stage of becoming a god, it went directly to the early stage of Mahayana. What if I eat a few more bags? Wouldn't it be like becoming an immortal directly on the spot? Senior sister Bai Yu. Li Wujie, who was originally studying knife skills, noticed this scene and was so frightened that he almost dropped the knife in his hand. It's that bag of snacks that's responsible. Hong Qianye's eyes gleamed as he stared at the bag in Bai Xiaoxi's hand, as if a turbulent wave was rising in his heart. I am really curious, what level of treasure trove does Junlin have that he can always come up with such shocking good things? Hong Qianye's heart was about to move. If he hadn't considered that he couldn't beat him, he would have really wanted to take everything away from the opponent. Xiaoxi, do you still want to eat? Junlin asked. Bai Xiaoxi's eyes were bright and she nodded her head like garlic. Okay, Shushu still wants to eat more. Junlin had 4 more bags of pet animal feed in his hand. He wanted to see if Bai Xiaoxi could really continue to break through. Bai Xiaoxi was very happy when she saw 4 packs of snacks with sufficient portions. It quickly took it, opened one of the bags, sniffed it with its nose, and showed an expression of joy. Then, Bai Xiaoxi reached out and kept grabbing the feed, stuffed it into her mouth and started chewing it. Her cheeks were bulging, which was really cute. Yi Junlin paid close attention to Bai Xiaoxi and found that after eating the 3rd bag, his cultivation had only reached the advanced stage. Yi Junlin understood now. If you eat more continuously and repeatedly, the effect will be greatly reduced. The further you go, the harder it will be. In the end, you must pile up the amount. But Yi Junlin thinks it doesn't matter, it's just a kind of pet food for him anyway. Then, Yi Junlin took out 5 more bags of top-quality pet animal feed and shouted to the giant beast at his feet, "Kuan, you have been working hard recently, here are snacks for you." Huh. 5 bags of top-quality pet animal feed were suspended in the air, glowing brightly and flying towards Kuanpeng's eyes. Kuanpeng was very happy and opened his big mouth to suck it in. Logically speaking, such a small amount of food is not enough to fill its teeth, but the feed rewarded by this system is very special. It is essentially a release of energy, which can satisfy the appetite in equal proportions. After eating 5 bags of top-grade pet animal feed, Kuanpeng's body bloomed with circles of dazzling blue luster. Perhaps because of the purest bloodline of the divine beast, its cultivation level has increased from the early stage of Mahayana to perfection. Kuanpeng let out a cheerful cry, conveying joyful mental fluctuations to Yi Junlin, as happy as a child receiving a reward from his parents. This. Li Wujie's Taoist heart was almost unstable, and his eyes were so wide that they almost fell out. Damn it, just eat that little bit of food and your level will rise as if it were a joke. Master is indeed enigmatic. Li Wujie sighed and looked at the silver-haired young man with even more admiration. Hong Qianye was stunned at first, then showed indignation, and said secretly, "Is this way of improving cultivation fair to those who work hard? I want to strongly condemn it morally. The most important thing is that this must-have it has side effects. Even if you give it to me, I won't eat it." Although Hong Qianye thought so in his heart, his eyes were still staring at the bag of feed in Bai Xiaoxi's hand. At this time, Bai Xiaoxi did not want to continue swallowing the dates, but started to put them into her mouth one by one, chewing and tasting them slowly, enjoying the deliciousness of the new snacks. Hong Qianye ducked behind the sycamore tree near the palace and secretly sent a message, "Xiaoxi, come here." Bai Xiaoxi was stunned, looking towards the source of the sound, and saw Hong Qianye waving towards it. It's senior brother Hong calling Shu Shu. Bai Xiaoxi was very happy, because most of the time, senior brother Hong had a very indifferent attitude toward it. Even the few times it had the courage to approach it and strike up a conversation, it was met with a look of disgust. Drink back. This made Bai Xiaoxi feel a little disappointed. But now Hong Qianye took the initiative to call it, which made Bai Xiaoxi feel accepted. Bai Xiaoxi walked over with short legs and ran over happily. "Senior brother Hong, do you have anything to do with Shu Shu?" Hong Qianye stared at this silly rat face and sneered secretly, "This silly mouse." He coughed a few times and said seriously, "I want to say that what master gave you is poisonous."